Hello, good afternoon. Welcome to this fourth episode of the Stream on Ion marketplace update. Stream on Ion, your multi-vendor cloud marketplace that you can use to service your customers. For those who joined previous sessions, you can see that now Sophos is added as a vendor on the platform, so you can now also start transacting Sophos licenses, subscriptions on the Stream on Ion platform. What's on the menu of today? First, some very hot things that came up today. Secondly, is then how to get data out of Stream on Ion to use it for your own benefits. Some important Microsoft rules that needs to be obeyed. Roadmap. Where can you find training information? What are next upcoming trainings? And Q&A. Q&A, as always, if you want to talk, just unmute yourself and ask your questions, or you can put them in the chat window, which I will also open on my screen so I can see them. Okay, so let's get started. And as also, I will do some demos on the way, which most probably, as usual, will not always work correctly, but that's the way demos go. So let's start with the first part, so hot of the needle. Hot in the sense that live since today. One thing is still being updated as we speak. So two things that are implemented over the weekend. One is the marketplace redesign. So the way purchases are done in the Ion platform. Let me go to the Ion platform to show you. What I mean. Just need to log on, and I don't want to show my password, so obviously. So here I am as a logged on as my usual demo reseller. I go to the marketplace, select my customer, which is my always favorite customer, Stevie. For those who don't see the new things, so basically you can now filter easier on the term of a license. For instance, everything which has a 3-year license, and you will see that tiles will be adapted as well. 12 months licenses, year licenses, and yes, there is a difference between 12 months and a year. It depends on how the vendor describes their terms settings. So you can filter here, or you can also filter now on the name of the product. For instance, everything that starts with an O, office, everything that starts with a C, which is then all those nice products that you can select from. Okay, another new thing that came up is, for instance, if I go to Copilot, you will see a Copilot. There are multiple. Let's take the first one. And now notice here on the left side, you have the promo identification, meaning that from the vendor, in this case Microsoft, there is a promo on this product. And then we're going to see if you're eligible to get this promo, yes or no. You can also see it here on the right side, where you see that there is a promo if eligible. So if you fall into the categories of the promo, then you get a 15% reduction from the vendor. Yeah. So let's put it in the cart. This one, I know the promo is if you buy 10 or more in one shot, then you get the promo. So you also, again, see it here, 50 promo available, 15%. So let's put some more in the chart. Okay. Configuration pending. So as usual, you just go to products, 15 promo available, yes. And then if you do continue here, then we're going to check with the vendor. So this is a call live to the vendor, in this case, Microsoft, to check that the promo is applicable, yes or no. This morning it failed because there are still some updates going on. And now let's see what it says. Close. Okay, not so. This is still, there's a small data update that's still going on. Should be okay by tomorrow. But here you can see now, if you buy a product and there is a promo available, you will see it straight into StreamOn-Ion. Let's remove this. I don't need it. Yes. Okay. So these are basically the two new stuff that came live today. As said, one is still being updated. So active tomorrow. I just gave you a preview of how it works. The actual functionality will be there tomorrow. And the vendor promo is only from Microsoft at the moment. We are working with other vendors as well to get it live, up and running in the next couple of days, weeks, months, and so on. Okay. Then the main topic of today is how to get data out of StreamOn-Ion. Because we all know having data in a platform is nice, but sometimes you want to do nice stuff with the data. So you want to get the data out of it to be able to, for instance, inject it into your ERP system or make reports in Excel or whatsoever. So that's then you need to get data out of StreamOn-Ion. So get data out of StreamOn-Ion. Basically, there are multiple sources in StreamOn-Ion where you can get data. It's the billing information. I'll show you how to in a couple of minutes. Which is a fixed data set. Is basically you go into your invoice and you can export the invoice data, which is then feasible for you to work it. It's always in line with the billing period. So if you do it from this month, you get obviously the invoice of this month, sorry, covering last month's movement in the vendor's environment. You have a billing report, and that's where I'm going to focus most on today, which is also kind of a tracing tool where you can see what happened over a longer period with a certain license. So depending on how the settings are done in the report, you see more or less information. This is per cloud vendor, per cloud provider, excuse me, where you can see different reports. You can get subscriptions, and you can get orders extracted from the platform, where you can then also do some data or some mining if you want to do. So it's always both subscription orders is all vendors and customers. It's the current status for the subscriptions, and the orders, you see the data when the orders are being done, and both of them can be filtered before the export is being done. So let me show you the subscriptions. For instance, if I go to the subscriptions, you see I have 115 lines in subscriptions. Obviously, all those deleted ones I don't need in my report, in my export. So I go to subscription status, which is active. I apply the filter. I push on the bottom, and then I say export to CSV. So quite easy, and then you have all the details of that information in your CSV file. I open it. Okay, this is a small, but you can have multiple lines. So this is my Excel sheet that comes out of the system. And then basically to work with it, you need to go to the data menu. You change it to columns, always delimited. You need to check the comma if it's not next. Now, this is an important step in the advanced section. You need to go change the point and the comma. Why? Let me not do it first. Finish. Okay, it's not visible here. I'll show it in the other reports what happens if you don't change that setting. See, the numbers are too small to see. So now basically you have an Excel sheet that you can work with, and you can do whatever you want with this Excel sheet to make reports, to pivot it out, whatever you want to do. There's basically and similar for orders, that you can also export the orders now from the platform into an XLS file. So you can use the APIs. There's a full Swagger page on how the API works. So you can automate stuff. You can get data out and inject it immediately in the ERP system without touching, without the human interfacing. Or you can export to CSV, where, as I said, all numbers are in US format. So basically what you should do is, as I showed in Excel, select delimited. Make sure the comma is selected. Convert, that is not important, it's the advanced button. You need to click here and then change it, change the decimal separator to a point and the thousand separator to a comma to get the correct numbers. Otherwise, you will get the billions and billions of revenue, which is something I would like you to have, but it's not really realistic. Okay, so as showed, descriptions and orders, you can filter them out. You select the top left checkbox, and then you can select all the rows and you click export as CSV. You get the CSV, convert the lines into columns, and then you have the data where you can further work on. That's easy peasy, not difficult to do. Billing reports. Billing reports are basically more detailed. They have much more features, much more possibilities than the actual billing reports. Let me show you the billing reports as they are in Stream1 Ion. So go to the billing section. I'll go to my invoices. I need to change it, for instance, year to date. You see an invoice. If you, because we don't send invoice to ourselves, here you will see in this field, you will see your invoice number as it comes out of our ERP system. And then you see all details, basically what's on the invoice. All lines as they are on the invoice are here, maybe not with the data as you would like it, but it is feasible to do. The global is your tax numbers. Yeah. So basically, report really saying, as it is on your invoice, you can see the data. But on the other side, personally, I don't find it the most interesting report. So that's why we're going to go working with the billing customer reports. The top 3 hyperscalers, so AWS, Google, and Microsoft have their own billing customer reports. I will show one of them. I will work with one of them, obviously Microsoft, because it's the most complex. If you have other vendors like Acronis, AvePoint, BitHeight, and so forth, or legacy Microsoft, then the SaaS billing customer report will give all that information on one report. So the 3 top hyperscalers, they have their own report settings. The smaller ones, they're all grouped together into the SaaS billing customer report. You can create your own variants. So you get always one default per type, and then you can create as many as you would like. With more or less fields, creating more or less details. But how you do it, you start from the default, you say save, and then you can select, create a new one, you give it a name, you have a new report. Selected fields, you can group fields, and I will show you the interface, how this looks like, and you get columns. If you export it to a CSV, both groups and columns become columns in the CSV file. So that is easy peasy to work with. So you have all data on one line. Only the interface, the Stream1 Ion interface, allows you to group to have a better or a filterable way of working into the reports. And then you create your own variants. The date setting is kept into the variant. For instance, if you say last month, if you open the report now, you get the data out of March. If you open the report next month, you get the data out of April, without you having to select each time to say this is the month. So the setting last month will always refer back to the previous month, 2 months ago to 2 months ago, and so on, so on. If you put a fixed date, for instance, say 15th of January to 15th of March, it will always be 15th of January to 15th of March. So depending on how you put the data, you get let's say, an adaptive filtering or a fixed filtering. If you put it on last month, this will also give you the data as it is on your invoice. With one remark there, we always say valid as of the 10th. Why? Because some vendors like Microsoft, they can change the numbers up to the 10th of the month. We do things at night, so the 9th, the 10th, we can be sure that all data, all numbers are as Microsoft is treating them. And you can also apply filters in your variants if you would like to. For AWS Google, the standard billing report is mostly enough. So all data that you would require is enough. If not, you can adapt it. You can make your changes. If I go to my demo environment, if I go to the reports, basically, if I do click here, reports v2, or I click reports, exactly the same thing that I enter. So for AWS, you have multiple reports. It's the billing customer report that interests us the more. For Google, you have the GCP billing customer report. This one is not Microsoft, is a Micro CSP billing customer report, and the SaaS is then a set for all smaller vendors and Microsoft legacy licenses. Our inventory can be interesting, and the price book allocation. If you work with multiple price books, you can get easy out of the system which price book is assigned to which customer. But today we're going to concentrate mostly on the CSP billing customer report for Microsoft. Okay, so on the list here, this is quite a busy slide. So let me start with the Microsoft CSP billing customer report. For one thing, there are two types of entries. You have the Microsoft NCE and seed-based licensing, and you have all the rest. So by filtering on the publisher name, we get different data out of the system. So we propose to work with that. Last date, last month, again, to get the billing mimic out of it, or the invoicing similarity. Grouping, so you can, what we did here is group on the customer, company, and the product name. And then you see all the columns that are used between the two types of products. And you see here in seed-based, so NCE in yellow, you have the seed count that gives you the correct number. For Azure, it's the usage quantity that gives you the exact number. So basically, that's why we have two reports created, one with the seed count, NCE, because seed count there is important. For Azure, it's the usage quantity, which is important, and less the seed count. So basically, that's why we created multiple reports out of that one. There's also the way, if you see on the right side, you have the first two, the report column, you see tag columns, customer fields, and cloud account fields, is basically adding fields which are not per default available on the report. For instance, the reseller PO number is not a default field, so you can add it anyway to your fields if you would have the need to do so by going to the columns, make them eligible to become a report column, and then you can add them in the report column. Basically, quite easy. So a lot of me talking, let's show you some things. So we start with the Microsoft CSP customer report. This is the default. Yeah? So this is always there. You see also last updated by system. So that's the default. We start from that one. I'm not going to start from fresh because that would take too much time. Let's start with the Microsoft charge details. This one, as you see, defaults to last month. And I get all the information as it would appear on my invoice. With the flashes here, you can open the customer, and then you get all the information, all fields that are available on the customer. Sorry, I did something wrong here. Microsoft charge details. Again, this one. You see here all changes that have been done, adding seats, removing seats. You see all the data. You know, if you say I don't want all the details, go to the options, mark report columns. I know, so just charge, remove charge end date and charge type. Okay, if I now update the report, and I would save it, but I'm not going to do it, otherwise I'll lose my report. Then you see I will have less lines per product. So the changes are not available there anymore. It's just basically the total that is now being displayed. Let's start from fresh reports. Microsoft CSP, DNC. CSP billing customer reports, the charge details. You also see the report filters here. So today, this is filtered on Microsoft Corporation. That's why you see only seat-based licenses here. As Exchange Online, let me not open the full customers, open this one, this level. No? If I now take out this filter and I apply it, you see that I get also some Azure in there. So based on the report publisher name, I get Microsoft Corporation, which is NCE. If I select Microsoft, I would only get basically Azure, RIs, software perpetuals, and software subscriptions in my report. And then you use the fields to get the correct data out of the system. And this way you can save the reports for other users to use them. You see here on top this number. If I go to another screen, open a new tab. If I go select, basically you go immediately to the report. So if you want to share a specific report, you can just share the URL with a report number in there, and you get the data out of the report without having to set filters and go too much clicking into the interface. So an easy way to share reports out into your company to have other data. Okay, I don't see any questions. Again, if you have questions, do interrupt me. Then adding non-standard fields. Sorry, here options. Custom fields, no cloud account fields, sorry, or custom fields. You have here the contract ID and the end customer PO number. If I go to non-custom fields, there are no custom fields created here. Or tag columns. If you create tags, you can also have them added. So you do add here. So see, let's take this one. So MS resource usage add. Okay, update report. It will not be there yet. Now I'll go to the report columns, and then I should see that field here somewhere. Here it is, added to the fields. I can obviously change the order. I don't know if there is data in it. I don't create this field. Update. And now the field is added. So if you create tags, which can be useful in Azure, if you create other fields, you can also add them into the report. And I see that there is no data here on this field. So 2 steps: make the field eligible to become visible on the report, and then in the columns or in the grouping, you can add that field as a field in the reports. And obviously, if you export it, then you will get that field as well. So let's export as CSV again, because I wanted to show you the billions you can make. Open. Let me show this is a small one. Data, text to columns, it's delimited. I need a comma. I don't go into the advanced setting, finish. And you can see here, this is quite some revenue, which maybe is not that realistic. So let's do it again. Text to columns, delimited, comma. Let's invert the decimal and the thousand separator. So point as decimal and a comma as thousand. Okay, finish. And now we get numbers that are a bit more realistic into our environment. So an easy way to work with this data. And you get all the information out of the system. And this way also you could take the report on the 10th of the month and start building your customer based on this report if you would like to. Questions, remarks? Okay. So basically this is all summarized on this slide. Okay. Then, oh, sorry. This is too soon, I know. I need to start over. Push the wrong button. Slideshow, show from beginning. Okay. Some important rules for Microsoft. Now here, do pay attention because this might influence the way you are allowed to work with Microsoft in the future, or will not be allowed anymore to work with Microsoft rules. So some important rules. First of all, within Microsoft rules, you cannot buy for yourself in a tier 2 program. So basically, and as we know, it has happened before, no sweat at the moment. So basically, if you have your own tenant and you buy a license, basically this is not allowed. Yes, it is allowed, but not using your own MPN as a tier 2 MPN. We work in 2 tiers. So Microsoft sells to us, we sell to you, and you sell to the customer. You and your customer cannot be the same person. If it needs to be sold to you, then basically it's Microsoft to us to you as a customer and not as a reseller. It doesn't change anything on the prices you're going to get, but it is important for Microsoft to make sure that you don't buy for yourself. Why? If you're eligible for Microsoft rebates and stuff like that, you're not allowed to take rebates on your own products, on your own purchases. That's basically why. What does Microsoft mean by own tenant? So for every entity, every company you have where there is 50% or more ownership from the same owner group or owners, then it's considered as being your own tenant. And then you're not allowed to buy in a tier 2 program. You need to buy as a customer in a tier 1 program or via another partner in a tier 2, but not on your own MPN. So we're going to move those tenants to tier 1. As I said, clearly we are going to do that. Basically, what you need to do is inform us which is your own tenant, or if you're multiple, which tenants are owned by your environment, and we take action to make sure that you comply to this Microsoft rule. It's not that difficult. It's something that needs to be done. It's not needs to be done tomorrow, but we need to take care of this action before basically summertime. You should always also have received a mailing around this, I think, on this change. Okay. On your MPN that you're using into Stream1 Ion, basically you need to use a local MPN and not your global MPN. So every entity has 2 MPN numbers at least, which is one global, which is kind of an umbrella MPN, and one or multiple partner local MPN IDs. For CSP, you need to work with the partner location MPNs, not with the global MPN. This will be enforced by Microsoft. We already had some cases where purchases have been denied, and even partners has been thrown out of the system by Microsoft because this rule is in violation for small partners. But this is something that's being imposed now, and we need to make sure that it's okay by end of June. So check your MPN ID at the Microsoft Partner Center, and I'll show you slide how to do that, and then make sure in Ion that you update it if needed. So how can you get your MPN out? So you go to in the Partner Center, click the gear icon and take account settings. There you go to the organization identifiers. In the Microsoft Cloud Partner Program, you see the Partner Global, which is not the one to use. And you see, in our case, you have multiple partner locations. You should at least have one. Yeah? And the batteries go into the same identifiers, but select CSP. And there you see the one that is to be used in purchases in your Tier 2 program. It is important information. If you see that this is not the correct one that you're using, so in Ion, how can you find it? It's in partners, SYNNEX Belgium. You take the programs, go to CSP, micro CSP, and then you get your partner ID, which are obviously blurred because it's our own here. If the one here is not the same as the one you saw in your CSP and the Partner Center, then you need to change it. How do you do it? The change, you put a request button, you put the new MPN ID, and you say save. Then a process starts in the backend after the billing cycle. So basically, if you do it now, it will be done before the weekend. If you do it after the weekend, it will be done as of 17th or 18th of the month, where we change the MPN on your environment and make sure that all your purchases that are on the existing MPN, so the wrong one, are transferred into the new MPN without interruption for you nor for the customer. So that's where you put the new MPN. And you say save. So change will be done after Microsoft billing cycle, basically the second part of the month. For your customers, the MCA, so the Microsoft Cloud Agreement, needs to be accepted. Regularly, Microsoft changes their agreements, and it needs to be re-accepted by the customer. So all customers that have lastly accepted the MCA before the 1st of April 2023 need to be re-accept the MCA before October 2025. If not, it will not be possible to purchase or to renew licenses for that customer. So we still have some time, October 2025. So the MCA is Microsoft Cloud Agreement. It's signed by the customer or by proxy, so you can do it as well. Sign in name of the customer to say, look, we discussed this with the customer. They know what the rules are like. They need to pay. It's a full term and stuff like that. So they're aware of that. So you can sign it in their place. And you can sign it in the cloud provider. We saw it in the last session. So if you go to the video, then you can do it. I can show you, obviously. I go into my demo environment. I go to my customer. Let's take for change Staby. It's in cloud billing, cloud providers. If you don't see here, you can add it. You can add to the cloud provider. It's the legacy Azure, or it is the Micro CSP. If it's already there, go in either one of those. And here you can rearm. So update attestation, which is done on the 25th. So update. You take your name, Eric Bondt, signed on today. That's the phone number. It's not really needed, and it's ABB. It's SYNNEX, which is not a valid email address, by the way, but just for demo. Okay, update, and now the MCA is re-triggered, and I'm again ready for when Microsoft changes the attestation again. in 2, 3, 4 years. Okay. So basically an important point for you to be able to work with your customers, make sure that the MCA is signed. We are building a list. So we are getting Microsoft information from Microsoft on which MCA are getting or outdated. So the last is signed before the 1st of April 2023. And we're trying, if we are allowed to, by Microsoft, send you the list with your customers that needs to have the MCA updated as well. But we still have some time for that. But summertime is coming up slowly, so we know that it's also a busy period with people on holidays. So, but we are working to get this list out to you for your customers. Question and remarks on these 3 last points. Again, you can unmute yourself and talk, or you can use the chat window to ask questions. Don't be shy. There are no stupid questions. I can only give stupid answers. Okay. If not, what's on the roadmap? So basically the roadmap. So the vendor promos, well, that's live, as we saw, live-ish in the sense that the basics are there. After data update is going on, we couldn't do that behind the scene, needs to be done on the live system. So by tomorrow, it will actually work. Next upcoming is maximum changes for lifecycle management. So be able to say, okay, only can purchase 10 or can only purchase 5 or 1 of this product for a customer. Read-only user and a account admin, no, a sales admin, sales manager rule, sales manager user will be made available next couple of weeks. And there is more and more and more coming. All nice features. Some will take some more time, others will be there even before we get informed on them. So keep posted, keep on following these sessions every month, and we will show you the updates when they go live. If you see something that's, isn't that changed, or how does this work again? No sweat, contact us, send an email to us, and we will help you running through that system. Get more information, get trainings in BrainShark. Basically, you go in, you find all those trainings in, and more being added as well. As the platform evolves, the training in content will evolve as well, so you can get all that information nicely out of the system. Upcoming events. What else do we do out of the hyperscalers team? Here you can see the last events. If you click on it, you will get this list. So it's an, let's move this, Microsoft Security in-depth training on the 6th of May. So next Tuesday. There is an 22nd of May. There are 2 sessions, Microsoft Azure training with Tom Costers, one before noon and one after lunch. On the 26th, sorry, I need to learn to work with PowerPoint. On the 26th of May, there is the next version of this call. On the 6th of June, there is the Microsoft EA tasting track seminar, which is a nice thing to do if you're especially fun about chocolate. And there is the Microsoft Security depth training on the 10th of June, going more deeper, or the next session, which is going on the 6th of May. So these are the first upcoming trainings. There will also be a platform update on later in June, but it is not on the list yet. As always, do send us questions if you would have those. Contact us if you have questions now. Please unmute yourself. Speak to me in your own language, as long as it is, or English, French, Dutch, German. and I will answer in your language or in English. You can use a chat window as said, or if later on today, tomorrow, after tomorrow, hyperscaler.be at tdsynnex.com, or eventually micros.be at tdsynnex.com. That's where we are reachable as a team. And obviously the next session on Monday, May 26th, again at 1 o'clock, we'll have the next session on this program. Do you still have questions, remarks? No? You want me to repeat stuff? Just tell me. If not, I would like to thank you very, very much for your attention, for being here. Hear you next month or in between hyperscaler.be at tdsynnex.com. Thank you very much. Have a nice short working week, and hope to see you soon again.